My girlfriend's best friend pushed me down the stairs, brainwashed her to dump me, then tried to burn my house. I put him behind bars. I'm Derek. I'm 29 years old, and until a few months ago, I thought I had the perfect life. I was with Sophia, my girlfriend of 2 years, an incredible woman I met in college. She's a psychologist, I work in tech, and we both shared similar dreams. Everything was perfect until he showed up. Matt, Sophia's childhood best friend. From the first day I met him, something didn't sit right with me. Matt had this fake smile that he'd put on every time he saw me, like he was acting. Sophia always defended him, saying he was just protective of me because he'd seen many guys hurt his female friends before. At first I understood it, even respected it. I thought that with time he'd accept me. How wrong I was. It all started with small things. When Sophia, Matt and I would hang out together, he had a habit of accidentally interrupting our intimate moments. If Sophia and I were holding hands, he'd suddenly need Sophia to help him with something urgent. If we were sitting together watching a movie, he'd insist on sitting between us to see the screen better. Once, during an important family dinner where I was going to meet Sophia's parents, Matt showed up uninvited. Sophia told me to come. He lied shamelessly while she looked at him confused, but I didn't want to make a scene in front of her parents, so I let it slide. Matt's behavior gradually escalated. He started making innocent comments about our relationship in front of Sophia. Are you sure Derek really understands you, Soph? I mean, you guys are pretty different. Or my personal favorite. Derek seems like the type of guy who eventually gets bored and looks for something new. What frustrated me most was that Sophia didn't see anything wrong with these comments. Matt just worries about me, she'd say. He's been there for me my whole life. Derek, you have to understand that. Things got worse when we decided to move in together. Sophia and I had been talking about taking that step for months, and we finally found the perfect apartment. We were excited, making plans to decorate and imagining our future together. But Matt had other plans. He started bombarding Sophia with concerns about moving in with me. Don't you think it's too soon? You've only been together 2 years. What if things don't work out? You'll be stuck on a lease with him. Worse yet, he started suggesting alternatives. Why don't you move in with me, Soph? We could be roommates like old times. It would be fun, and you wouldn't have the pressure of a relationship. When I told Sophia this bothered me, she got defensive. Derek, you're being paranoid. Matt just wants what's best for me. Besides, he's known me for 15 years. You've barely known me for 2. Those words hurt more than I want to admit. Everything reached a breaking point at Sophia's birthday party. She had organized a gathering at her apartment with close friends and family. I had arrived early to help with preparations, and everything was going well until Matt showed up. During the party, I noticed Matt was being especially clingy with Sophia. He followed her everywhere, constantly hugged her, and monopolized her in conversations. When I tried to join them, he'd find excuses to pull her away. Soph, can you help me in the kitchen for a second? Soph, your cousin wants to talk to you privately. Soph, do you remember when we were kids and by 10 p.m. I was frustrated. I had come to celebrate my girlfriend's birthday, but I'd barely been able to spend time with her. I decided to go to the balcony to get some fresh air and calm down. Matt followed me. Hey, Derek, he said with that fake smile. Can we talk? Sure, I replied, trying to stay calm. Look, bro, I'm going to be straight with you. Sophia is too good for you. She always has been. She needs someone who really understands her. Someone who's been there for her during the tough times. Like you, I asked, unable to hide the sarcasm. Exactly like me. Look, I know you think this is serious, but eventually she's going to realize you guys aren't compatible. It would be better for everyone if you just walked away now. I'm not walking away from Sophia because you tell me to, I replied firmly. That's when his mask completely fell off. His expression changed from fake sympathy to pure hatred. Fine, he said, stepping dangerously close. Then we'll do this the hard way. Without warning, he pushed me. But it wasn't just any push. We were at the top of the stairs leading to the main balcony, and he pushed me with all his strength backward. I fell down the stairs, hitting my head and left arm against the concrete steps. The pain was instant and intense. I lay there, dazed and bleeding, while I heard Matt shouting, "Help!" Derek slipped. Sophia and several guests ran toward me. I was conscious but confused. When I tried to explain what really happened, Matt had already planted his version of events. I was trying to stop him, he said, with Oscar-worthy acting. Derek had been drinking too much and was stumbling near the stairs. I tried to grab him, but he slipped out of my hands. It was my word against his, and Sophia had known Matt for 15 years. Who do you think she believed? After the accident, I spent 3 days in the hospital with a concussion and a fractured arm. Sophia visited me, but her behavior had changed. She was distant, almost cold. Derek, maybe you should consider drinking less, she told me during one of her visits. Matt is really traumatized by what happened. He says he can't get the image of trying to save you out of his head. Sophia, I wasn't drunk. Matt pushed me. Derek, please. There were 5 people who saw what happened. They all said you tripped. What I didn't know at the time was that Matt had prepared everything carefully. He had spent the first part of the party telling guests that I had been drinking heavily, that I seemed unstable and aggressive. When he pushed me, the witnesses were already predisposed to believe his version. During my recovery, Matt intensified his manipulation campaign. He visited Sophia every day, offering to help her with anything she needed. It's the least I can do after how traumatic it was to see Derek fall, he'd tell her. Meanwhile, he started planting seeds of doubt about our relationship in Sophia's mind. Have you noticed Derek's been more irritable lately? Even before the accident. Maybe the alcohol is a bigger problem than you thought. Soph, he accused me of pushing him. How can you be with someone who thinks your best friend is capable of something like that? When I finally got out of the hospital, our relationship was unrecognizable. Sophia treated me like I was a dangerous stranger. She avoided physical contact, kept conversations superficial, and always found excuses not to spend time alone with me. Matt, of course, was always present. I just want to make sure Sophia is okay after everything that's happened, he'd say when I asked why he was in our apartment when I got home from work. The final straw came 2 weeks after the hospital. I came home early from work and found Matt and Sophia sitting very close on the couch, talking in low voices. When I walked in, they quickly separated, but the tension in the air was palpable. What's going on here? I asked. Matt was just comforting me, Sophia said, not looking me in the eyes. I was telling him how difficult all this has been. Difficult how? Sophia sighed deeply. Derek, I think we need to take a break. My heart stopped. A break? Yes. Everything that's happened, the accident, your accusations against Matt, the constant tension. I need space to think. Matt, sitting there with an expression of fake concern, added, I think it's best for both of you, bro. Give Sophia the time she needs. I don't need your advice, I snapped at him. Derek, please, Sophia intervened. Don't talk to Matt like that. He's just trying to help. That night I packed my bags and went to stay with my brother Carlos. Sophia had chosen to believe Matt over me, and there was nothing more I could do. Or so I thought. What Sophia and Matt didn't know was that my tech job wasn't just any job. I'm a cybersecurity specialist for a private investigation firm. My job involves tracking digital activity, recovering deleted information, and assisting in investigations that require technical evidence. When I moved to Carlos's house, I was devastated but not defeated. Something inside me knew Matt was planning something bigger. His behavior was too calculated, too systematic to be just a jealous friend. I decided to use my professional skills to investigate. I started by reviewing Matt's social media. At first glance, everything seemed normal. Photos with friends, work updates, sports posts. But when I dug deeper, using specialized software we have at work, I found something interesting. Matt had been systematically deleting certain conversations and posts, but as any cybersecurity expert knows, nothing is ever really deleted from the internet. With the right tools, I recovered months of deleted history. What I found chilled my blood. Conversations with other men where he bragged about eliminating Sophia's boyfriends, screenshots of messages he had sent impersonating me to other women, trying to create evidence of infidelity, detailed plans on how to manipulate situations to make me look bad. But the most disturbing was a group chat with 2 of his friends, where they discussed in detail how he had planned the staircase accident. I pushed him right when I knew people would be watching, he wrote. I spent the whole night telling them Derek was drunk. When he fell, everyone was ready to believe my version. I had all the evidence I needed. But before doing anything, I decided to investigate deeper. While reviewing Matt's digital history, I discovered something that broke my heart. This wasn't the first time he'd done this. I found evidence that he had systematically sabotaged all of Sophia's serious relationships for the past 5 years. There were at least 3 previous boyfriends who had been victims of his manipulations. David, the boyfriend Sophia had before me, had apparently cheated on Sophia with her best friend. But I found messages where Matt had orchestrated the entire situation, even paying the friend to seduce David, while he made sure Sophia discovered them. Andrew, another ex-boyfriend, had been accused of domestic violence after showing up to work with a black eye. Matt's messages revealed that he himself had hit Andrew, and then convinced Sophia that Andrew was dangerous. The pattern was clear and systematic. Matt had been eliminating any man who could take Sophia away from him for years, but the most chilling thing was what I found last: plans to make me disappear permanently. In recent conversations with his friends, Matt had started discussing more extreme methods to get rid of me. At first I thought it was just bragging, but the details were too specific to be jokes. He had been researching my daily routine, knew what time I left for work, when I came back, where I had lunch. He had taken photos of my car and had been asking his contacts about accidents that would look natural. The most developed plan involved burning down my temporary residence at Carlos's house. Matt had discovered the address and had been watching the house for days, studying the family's patterns. "The fire has to look accidental," he wrote in one of the messages. "Maybe a short circuit in the basement. Derek will be sleeping on the second floor by the time they realize it'll be too late." Reading that, my blood turned to ice. This man had not only ruined my relationship and physically hurt me, he was planning to kill me. And worse yet, there was a date, Friday of that same week. It was 2 days away. I knew I had to act fast, but I also knew I had to be smart. If I just went to the police with screenshots, they could argue they were manipulated. I needed irrefutable evidence. I contacted my boss and explained the situation. My company has contracts with local authorities for cases exactly like this. With his authorization, we were able to obtain a warrant to officially monitor Matt's communications. For the next 24 hours, we recorded all his calls and messages. What we captured was even more incriminating than I expected. Matt had been hiring a known arsonist to start the fire. In a recorded call, they discussed the exact details: when to do it, how to make sure I was in the house, and how to make it look like an electrical accident. We also recorded a conversation between Matt and Sophia, where he continued manipulating her, telling her that I was unstable and potentially dangerous. "Sophia, I'm worried about you," he told her. "Derek has been sending weird messages to your friends asking about you. Sarah told me he contacted her saying strange things about wanting to see you." Of course, I had never contacted Sarah or any of Sophia's friends. But Matt had used fake numbers and fake profiles to make it seem like I had. With all the evidence gathered and authorities already involved, we planned a trap for Friday night, when Matt was scheduled to execute his arson plan. We installed hidden cameras around Carlos's house and monitoring equipment. I stayed in the house as if it were a normal night, but there were undercover agents positioned in nearby vehicles. At 2:30 a.m., the cameras caught Matt and another man, later identified as the arsonist, approaching the house. They carried gasoline cans and materials to start the fire. We watched them prepare the fire in the basement, exactly as they had planned. Matt made sure to spray gasoline near the electrical panel so it would look like the fire had started there. Just as they were about to light the flame, the agents intervened. "Police, hands up!" The expression of shock and terror on Matt's face when he realized he'd been caught was more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. Once in custody, Matt initially tried to maintain his innocence. He claimed he had gone to the house to warn me about the arsonist, that he had discovered the plan and was coming to stop it. But when investigators showed him all the audio recordings, the recovered messages, and the digital evidence we had compiled, his story completely fell apart. Faced with irrefutable evidence, Matt finally confessed. But he didn't just confess to the arson plan. Once he started talking, he couldn't stop. He confessed to pushing me down the stairs. He confessed to sabotaging all of Sophia's previous relationships. He confessed to planning and executing multiple schemes to keep Sophia available for him for years. The complete confession lasted more than 4 hours. The detectives said it was one of the most detailed and disturbing confessions they had heard. With the recorded confession and all the evidence compiled, I knew it was time to confront Sophia with the truth. I asked her to meet me at a public cafe, telling her I had something important to show her. She reluctantly agreed, probably thinking I was going to beg her to come back. When she arrived, she looked tired and confused. "Derek, I really don't think we should be doing this," she began. "Sophia, before you say anything, you need to hear this," I said, putting my laptop on the table. I showed her everything. The recovered conversations, the audio recordings, the plans to kill me, Matt's complete confession. With each piece of evidence I showed her, her face became paler. When we got to the part where Matt confessed to pushing me down the stairs, Sophia started crying. "Oh my God, Derek, I accused you of lying. I told you that you had been drinking too much. I chose to believe him over you." I showed her the evidence of how he had sabotaged her previous relationships. David hadn't cheated on her. Matt had orchestrated everything. Andrew wasn't violent. Matt had hit him and set up the whole situation. "He destroyed my life for years," Sophia whispered, tears running down her face. "All my relationships, all the men I thought I was in love with. He drove them all away." Finally, I showed her the plans for the arson, the conversations about killing me. "He was going to kill you, Derek, because of me, because I couldn't see who he really was." Matt was arrested and charged with multiple counts: attempted murder, premeditated arson, assault, stalking, and conspiracy. The arsonist he had hired was also arrested and decided to cooperate with authorities in exchange for a reduced sentence. During the investigation, more victims came forward. It turned out Matt had been stalking and manipulating several women for years, not just Sophia. There was a clear pattern of obsessive and violent behavior. Sophia's ex-boyfriends also pressed charges once they learned the truth. David sued for emotional damages and defamation. Andrew pressed charges for assault and damage to his professional reputation. The case went to trial 6 months later. With all the digital evidence, recordings, and confession, Matt's defense had almost nothing to work with. They tried to plead mental illness, but forensic psychologists determined that while he had severe personality disorders, he was completely aware of his actions and their illegality. Matt was sentenced to 15 years in prison for attempted murder and premeditated arson, plus additional years for the other charges. In total, he won't be eligible for parole for at least 18 years. Sophia and I took several months to talk about everything that had happened. She attended therapy to deal with years of psychological manipulation, and I also sought professional help to process the trauma of being a victim of stalking and attempted murder. It wasn't easy rebuilding trust. Sophia had to deal with the guilt of choosing to believe Matt over me, and I had to process the pain of being betrayed by the person I loved most. But something beautiful emerged from that tragedy, a deeper understanding of each other. Sophia realized how manipulated she had been, not just in our relationship but for years of her life. I better understood the difficulty of recognizing abuse when it comes from someone you completely trust. After 8 months of therapy, both individual and couples, we decided to try again, but this time with clear boundaries and completely honest communication. Update 1. It's been a year since Matt was sentenced, and I wanted to give you an update on how things have evolved. Sophia and I not only reconciled, but our relationship is stronger than ever. The experience of almost losing everything taught us to value what we have and to communicate more effectively. We moved in together to a new house, away from all the places that had memories associated with Matt. Sophia changed her phone number, her social media profiles, and cut contact with anyone who had been part of Matt's manipulation circle. As for my career, the case gave me some notoriety in the cybersecurity field. I now specialize in cyberstalking and digital manipulation cases, helping other victims gather evidence against their stalkers. It's gratifying to be able to use what I learned from my experience to help others. Sophia reconnected with David and Andrew to personally apologize. Both were understanding and forgave her, realizing that she had also been a victim of Matt. David has even become a casual friend. He's happily married now and holds no resentment. Most importantly, Sophia is learning to trust her own instincts again. Therapy helped her understand how Matt had systematically eroded her self-confidence for years. Now she's more assertive, more confident in her decisions, and more capable of establishing healthy boundaries. As for Matt, we received a letter from him from prison a few months ago. It was a long and elaborate apology, but both Sophia and I saw it as another manipulation attempt. Our lawyers advised us not to respond and to maintain a permanent restraining order. Update 2. A few months ago, something unexpected happened that I wanted to share with you. A woman named Carmen contacted me through my work. She had seen my name associated with Matt's case in the news and wanted to talk to me. It turned out she had also been a victim of Matt years before, long before he met Sophia. Carmen told me a chilling story. Matt had been obsessed with her during their college years. When she started dating a classmate, Matt orchestrated a series of accidents and situations that ended with the boyfriend being expelled from university for false academic cheating accusations. What impressed me most was that Carmen had tried to report Matt's behavior to university authorities at the time, but no one believed her. Matt was charismatic, popular, and had built a good guy reputation that protected him from any suspicion. Carmen had kept evidence of everything Matt had done to her: messages, photos, testimonies from friends. With my help, she was finally able to press additional charges against him. This opened the floodgates. Once Carmen's story became public, 3 more women came forward with similar stories. All had been victims of Matt at different times and places, but the pattern was identical: obsession, manipulation, relationship sabotage, and escalation to violence. The additional charges resulted in an extended sentence for Matt. He's now serving 25 years without possibility of parole. Frankly, after hearing all the stories from his victims, I think it's exactly what he deserves. Update 3. It's been 2 years since all this began, and I finally feel like I can say we've found closure. Sophia and I got engaged 3 months ago. When I proposed, it wasn't a big dramatic production. It was an honest conversation about our future, about the children we want to have, about the life we want to build together, founded on mutual trust and open communication. Something beautiful that emerged from this whole experience is that Sophia now works as a counselor for victims of psychological abuse. She uses her personal experience and her psychology background to help other people who have gone through similar manipulation. It's incredible to see her transform her trauma into something that can help others. I continue specializing in cyberstalking cases, and we've talked about eventually opening a foundation together to help victims of stalking and manipulation. We want to make sure other people have access to the resources and support that we had. As for Matt, a few months ago he tried to appeal his sentence. The appeal was rejected. According to our lawyers, he's been trying to write letters to Sophia through different intermediaries, but they're all intercepted. The permanent restraining order remains in effect. One thing I want to emphasize for anyone reading this who recognizes similar signs in their own life: trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that you're being paranoid or overreacting. Psychological abuse and manipulation are real, and they can be as damaging as physical abuse. If someone in your life constantly sabotages your relationships, isolates you from loved ones, or makes you doubt your own perception of reality, seek help. And if you're in a situation where you feel you might be in physical danger, don't hesitate to contact authorities. Keep evidence of any threats or strange behavior. In the digital age, there's almost always a trail of evidence if you know where to look. Sophia and I are planning our wedding for next year. It will be a small, intimate ceremony, just with close family and true friends, people who have proven they support us and want the best for us. It's strange to say this, but in a way I'm grateful for what we went through. Not for the trauma or pain, but because it taught us the value of genuine trust, honest communication, and love that can survive even the most difficult tests. Looking back, there are several lessons I've learned from this experience that I want to share. First, manipulators like Matt rarely operate alone. They always have a network of people who, unknowingly, help them maintain their facade. In our case, many mutual friends had normalized Matt's possessive behavior because they had known him for years. Second, documentation is crucial. If I hadn't had the technical skills to recover those deleted conversations, Matt probably would have gotten away with it and might have tried to kill me again. Always keep evidence of strange behaviors, even if they seem minor at the time. Third, psychological abuse can be invisible to the victim while it's happening. Sophia was a trained psychologist and still couldn't see Matt's manipulation for years. This doesn't make her weak or stupid. It makes her human. Expert manipulators know exactly how to exploit trust and affection. Fourth, recovery takes time. Don't expect things to return to normal immediately after the manipulator is gone. Both Sophia and I needed months of therapy to fully process what had happened. Fifth, Sometimes real justice comes when you can transform your experience into something that helps others. The work Sophia does now with abuse victims and my specialization in cyberstalking have given us a purpose that goes beyond just getting over what happened to us. I'm writing this final update from the house Sophia and I bought together 6 months ago. It's a beautiful house in a quiet neighborhood with a large yard where we plan for our future children to play. Sophia is 3 months pregnant. When we saw the positive result on the pregnancy test, we both cried, not just from happiness but from relief. For a terrible moment in our lives, we thought we'd never have the chance to form a family together. Our joint work on our foundation is taking shape. We've helped more than 50 victims of stalking and manipulation in the past year, providing both technical support for gathering evidence and resources for therapy and legal assistance. One of our most recent victims reminded me a lot of myself 3 years ago. A young man named Robert, whose best friend had been systematically sabotaging his relationships and eventually escalated to physical threats. We were able to help him gather evidence and put him in contact with authorities before the situation escalated to real violence. Seeing the gratitude in Robert's eyes when his stalker was arrested reminded me why this work is so important. Every person we help is someone who can continue with their life, form healthy relationships, and not live in fear. As for Matt, we received a legal notification a few months ago informing us that he had attempted suicide in prison. He survived, but is under psychiatric observation. I'm not going to lie and say I felt sorry for him. After everything he did, not just to us but to all his other victims, my only reaction was relief that he hadn't succeeded in harming himself, because that would have meant he never would have had to fully face the consequences of his actions. If you're reading this and recognize elements of your own situation in our story, I want you to know there is hope. It may seem impossible right now, especially if the person manipulating you is someone you trusted, but it's possible to get out of that situation. You don't have to have special technical skills like mine to gather evidence. Victim support organizations have resources and can help you document what's happening. The most important thing is to trust your instincts and seek help. And if you're like Sophia was, someone who's being manipulated but can't see it clearly yet, be patient with yourself. Recognizing manipulation, especially from someone close to you, is one of the most difficult processes a person can go through. It's not your fault for not seeing it before. Recovery is possible. Healthy relationships are possible. Happiness after trauma is possible. Sophia and I are living proof of that. Thanks for joining me on this incredible story of overcoming and justice. What do you think about the way Derek handled this complex situation? Do you think justice was served in the end? I'd love to read your comments about this story that shows that the truth always comes to light. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe for more content like this, and share with someone who needs to hear that there's always hope after adversity. Check out another equally impactful story on screen now. A woman discovers her husband has been living a double life for years, but when he thinks he can manipulate the divorce in his favor, she shows him he's completely underestimated who he married. Click to continue on the channel and don't miss this incredible tale of revenge and justice.